All right, let's jump right into this explainer. Today, we're going to unpack a truly transformative approach to mental health care and criminal justice reform, specifically looking at North Carolina. Across the country right now, we are facing a massive behavioral health crisis, and it is completely overwhelming our jails and emergency departments. But the source material we're digging into today, it outlines a remarkably clear, proven solution. We're going to explore the immense benefits of a framework known as Assisted Outpatient Treatment, or AOT, and really see how it completely redefines our approach to severe mental illness. Here is our quick roadmap for today. We'll start with the reactive crisis loop, examine the anosognosia gap, introduce AOT with integrity, dig into the evidence and economics, and finally, build the closed loop. So, part one, the reactive crisis loop. Let's look at what happens when a system just waits for harm. Right now, our current system is fundamentally reactive. We are literally waiting for a crime or a severe, life-threatening crisis to happen before providing comprehensive help to people with serious mental illness. And the result? Over $60,000. That is the staggering annual cost per person when we do absolutely nothing upstream. When we just sit back and let folks cycle through a reactive loop of emergency room boarding, involuntary hospitalization, and eventually jail. It's an astronomical price tag for a system that actively waits for a tragedy. Now, I want you to contrast that 60 grand with $12,000. That is the annual cost for proactive, coordinated, community-based treatment. The financial benefit of AOT becomes immediately strikingly obvious, right? When you break down the math behind this crisis, it is just wild. We are spending roughly $8,500 for a single ER visit, or 12 grand for a jail booking and detention. It is a massive 5 times cost multiplier compared to community care. The financial benefit of proactive AOT is undeniable here. It completely exposes the do-nothing approach as not just a human tragedy, but a profoundly irresponsible use of funds. Moving on to part 2, the anosognosia gap. Why are people missing out on diversion? So, you might be thinking, if community care is so much better and cheaper, why aren't people just using the diversion programs we already have, like mental health treatment court? Well, it mostly comes down to a condition called anosognosia. This is a neurological inability to perceive your own illness. The brain literally cannot process the information that something is wrong. And this is crucial. It affects up to 98% of people with schizophrenia. It isn't denial. It isn't just someone being stubborn. It's a tragic medical reality that demands a highly specialized tool, because these folks literally cannot recognize that they need help. And that creates a massive gap in how we currently do things. Mental health treatment courts do incredible work, but they require voluntary insight. The person has to choose to opt in. And it typically requires an arrest to even trigger the process, meaning someone with anosognosia will tragically never opt in before harm actually occurs. AOT, on the other hand, is uniquely designed to address anosognosia. It's court-ordered, and most importantly, it is pre-crisis. Which brings us to Section 3, enter AOT with integrity, intervening upstream. This is exactly where assisted outpatient treatment steps in upstream as the real hero of our story, filling that critical gap long before someone ends up in an ER or a jail cell. Now, under North Carolina's Chapter 122C, AOT is not some blunt weapon or a punishment, not at all. It is a precise clinical tool. The core benefit of AOT with integrity is that it acts as a temporary, dignified bridge to get someone's autonomy back. It requires full due process, a judge, legal counsel, and it absolutely mandates wraparound services like housing and peer support. It's the least restrictive intervention, used only when voluntary care has repeatedly failed. To really grasp the benefit here, let's consider a hypothetical patient. We'll call him Marcus. Without AOT, Marcus stops his medication because of anosognosia. He doesn't know he's sick. He tragically spirals into that preventable crisis loop we talked about. Involuntary commitments, sitting in an ER for days, sleeping on the streets, and finally getting arrested for trespassing. The cost? Over 60 grand, plus immeasurable human suffering. But with AOT upstream, after his treatment starts failing, a judge steps in and orders structured community care. Marcus gets medication management and peer support right at home. No ER, no arrest. He stabilizes in his own community for a fraction of the cost. Let's move to Section 4, the evidence and economics. Building the case with hard data. We aren't just guessing that this upstream intervention works. The national statistics from New York's AOT program are staggering.
a 77% reduction in psychiatric hospitalizations, 83% fewer arrests, a 61% drop in homelessness. The real-world benefits of AOT are completely off the charts. This proves it's not just a humane choice that keeps people safe. It's a profoundly pragmatic strategy that dramatically reduces the heavy burden on our criminal justice system.
And this isn't just one state's findings either. This is backed up right here in North Carolina by rigorous academic research from Duke University. Their findings make it crystal clear. When we sustain this court-ordered care with intensive community treatment, the outcomes fundamentally transform, for the better. Violent behavior drops, hospital stays get shorter, and independence is restored.
Finally, Section 5, Building the Closed Loop, using the tools we already have. Now, you might be wondering, how do we afford to build some massive new system for this? Well, the incredible operational benefit here is that we don't have to. Think of it like a cliff. AOT and mental health treatment courts do not compete. MHTC is the safety net at the bottom, catching those who fall down into the criminal justice system. But AOT is the upstream guardrail preventing them from falling off the cliff in the first place. Together, they create a complete, closed-loop continuum of care.
When you look at the whole pathway, it forms a totally seamless, logical loop, from early recognition to a petition right into structured community care. And hey, if an arrest still happens somehow, the MHTC safety net is right there waiting. Both pathways end in restored autonomy. The absolute beauty of this loop is that it utilizes the exact same providers, the same judges, and the same managed care organizations that are already operating right now in Eastern North Carolina. The law is already on the books. The providers are already there. Which really brings us to the ultimate question for today. We have the law, we have the data, and we have the infrastructure already sitting there, ready to intervene with compassion. The benefits of AOT are undeniable. It saves millions of dollars, and, much more importantly, it restores human dignity and saves lives. So I'll leave you with this final thought. When the tools for prevention are sitting right in front of us, why are we still waiting for tragedy to strike?